Here's what it's like to drive a Tesla. Hi there, everyone. It's Jeff, and this is Plain English, where JR and I help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. This is lesson 435, so you can find today's full lesson, including the free transcript at plainenglish.com/435. Coming up today, Tesla is the world's most valuable car company, and it has sold more electric vehicles than any other car maker. But have you ever wondered what it's like to drive a Tesla? I have. So I decided to take one for a test drive. I brought JR along with me, and the two of us took a Tesla Model 3, the cheapest version, out for a 30-minute drive in the suburbs of Chicago. Between today and Monday, we'll tell you all about the experience of driving a Tesla. Today's English expression is check the boxes, and we have a song of the week. A Tesla is three things. It's a luxury car, an electric car, and a high-tech car. In today's lesson, we'll talk about Teslas as luxury and electric cars. We'll focus on all the technology that makes the Tesla experience unique on Monday. The most ordinary thing about the Tesla is that it's a luxury car. The features that make it a luxury car are common at its price point. Comfortable seats, quality materials, good speakers, plenty of room, and lots of small adjustments to get comfortable. Drivers can personalize seat settings. In a nice touch, drivers can program the seats to slide back when they get in and out of the car. Again, these are common in the luxury segment, and Tesla checks the important boxes. All Tesla vehicles are electric cars, and this is where the experience starts to depart from what most of us are used to behind the wheel. The most striking thing about driving an all-electric car like a Tesla is the process of accelerating and decelerating. In an electric car, there are no gears, so the acceleration is smooth and uninterrupted. A traditional car needs to change gears to achieve the best acceleration as speed increases or decreases. That's true for cars with either a standard transmission or an automatic transmission. From a complete stop, a typical vehicle gets its best acceleration in first gear. Then, as it gains speed, it gets better acceleration in second, third, and fourth. Higher gears are good for maintaining a higher rate of speed. Modern automatic transmissions move through the gears smoothly, but no matter how good it is, you can always feel the car shifting and you can feel the acceleration vary as you increase or decrease your speed. That's not true in an electric vehicle because there are no gears. When you press the gas pedal, or I should say the accelerator, the car starts moving and accelerates up to your top speed without any hesitation. The Tesla, in other words, was highly responsive to my foot as a driver. But in those first few minutes of driving, I kept wanting to feel that hesitation of gears shifting under me. The other thing that would be unfamiliar to drivers is the process of deceleration or slowing down. In a Tesla, as in many electric cars, if you take your foot off the accelerator, the car will come to a stop. This is different from a traditional car, which will maintain a little bit of forward movement. In a traditional car, you use fuel to move forward, but then friction to stop the car with the brakes. And that friction is a waste of energy. So electric cars harness that wasted energy with a regenerative braking system. And these advanced brakes recharge the batteries by converting the vehicle's forward kinetic energy into electricity, which goes back into the battery. The system kicks in when you remove your foot from the accelerator. So if you're driving down the road and remove your foot from the accelerator, the car comes to a complete stop rather quickly. Now, this allows drivers to control the car's speed most of the time using just one pedal. And with a little bit of practice, driving in traffic becomes a lot smoother. You don't get the sensation of stopping and starting, lurching back and forth in heavy traffic. Now, this has benefits besides comfort. Part of the stress of driving in traffic is the attention needed to shift constantly between moving forward and slowing down. You don't have to decide when to use the brake or the accelerator quite as much in an electric car. It's less about switching between the brake and the gas pedal and more about easing down or up with just one pedal. I found that I only had to use the brake a few times during my test drive. This was nice for my 30-minute drive, but I think this would significantly reduce the mental strain of driving in traffic over the long run. The heater is different too. In a traditional car, excess heat from the engine is used to warm the interior. Electric cars don't produce engine heat, so they have a dedicated electric heater. That means you can get warm air in the cabin as soon as you get in. Well, you can't talk about electric cars without also talking about range. A Tesla can plug into a regular outlet, a regular 120-volt outlet in your home, and charge up that way. It's like plugging in a cell phone. Every hour of charging this way gets you about 2 to 3 miles of range. Not a lot at all. However, with an upgraded 240-volt outlet in your wall, you can get about 30 miles of range per hour of charging. Charging that overnight would get you a full charge on the Tesla Model 3 that I drove. Now, Tesla's own network of charging stations go even faster. At these, Tesla claims you can get up to 200 miles in only about 15 minutes of charging. Now, I need to correct a statement that I made in a previous lesson. In lesson 430, I said that long-distance travel could require multiple hours at a charging station. Now, I learned that charging the battery to 100% is not always necessary or even desirable. You only have to charge enough to get to your destination or the next charging station. When I was at the Tesla showroom, I asked the salesperson to show me how to plan a trip from Chicago to Minneapolis, a distance of about 400 miles or 650 kilometers. Tesla's mapping software planned my route and my charging. I'd have to make 3 stops at charging stations, and each stop would have been between 30 and 45 minutes each. That's definitely more than I'd stop with a traditional car, but it's much more manageable than I thought it would be. Three other quick things to note about Tesla. Electric vehicles are lighter and they have fewer components than a traditional car, so there's more room and more storage. The trunk is bigger and deeper than a traditional car's trunk, and there's even additional storage under the hood in front. Second, you don't really turn the car on or off. When you open the door and sit down, it's on. When you get up and leave the car, it's off. It's more like a phone going into sleep or hibernation mode rather than a car that turns on or off. You can turn it off entirely, but it's usually not necessary. The last thing is that it's quiet. You mostly notice this as you're idling, but there is slightly less cabin noise as you're driving around. Oh, and one more thing JR wanted me to mention. The ceiling, the roof of the car is all glass, so there's great light inside and a great mood as you're driving. Now, the big differentiator is the technology, and that's what we'll talk about next Monday. Today's English expression is to check the boxes. Now, this is a tough one to use, but it is fairly common. To check the boxes, or to check all the boxes, means to fulfill all the requirements of something. So I want you to picture a checklist of all of a luxury car's features. What's on your checklist? What does a luxury car have? Heated seats? Tesla has it. A good sound system? Tesla has that too. Personalized seat settings? Yup. Heated side mirrors to melt the snow and ice? It has that. Check. Cup holders? Check. Do you see what I mean? Think about all the requirements you would have for an expensive car, and Tesla has them all. The Tesla checks all the boxes. So when you're selecting something new, you usually have selection criteria. So then you have a long list of requirements for that new thing. So for example, my current laptop is about 3 years old and it's just fine. There's only one thing that bothers me, and that's the size of the hard drive, especially when I'm recording videos for Plain English Plus. Well, the next time I have to get a new computer for Plain English, I'll make sure it has a lot of extra storage. I'll also want a fast processor and a lot of memory. Oh, and a reasonable price. Those are my criteria. So, if I find a computer that's got a lot of storage, a fast processor, a good amount of memory, and a reasonable price, then I could say that I found a computer that checks all the boxes. Is that going to be the best computer in the world? No, but it fulfills my requirements. However, someone else might want something different. Someone else might want a touch screen, a USB slot, and a full number pad on the keyboard. So the computer that checks all the boxes for me might not check all the boxes for that other person. There's another way to use check all the boxes. For example, if you're selecting something, you may have written objective criteria. But before you make that final decision, you also want to have a good feeling about something. So when expressing reservations about something, we can say that something checks all the boxes, but you nevertheless don't want it because you don't have a good feeling about it. So the feeling is not the criteria, but the feeling is why you don't want it. So let's start with cars, because cars provoke an emotional response in most drivers. You can find a car that checks all the boxes, but that you still don't like. When I was looking for a car years ago, I was considering a Volkswagen Golf and a Mazda 3. The VW checked all the boxes, but I just didn't love it. And sometimes when making a selection, you want something more than just the objective criteria on a checklist. You want to feel good. So yes, the VW, the Volkswagen, checked all the boxes. It met all the objective criteria. I couldn't make a case against it, but it just didn't give me the feeling that I wanted, so I went with the Mazda, which also checked all the boxes. When else might you make a selection in which how you feel is important? Oh, I know. Finding a romantic partner. Now, let me just tell you right now, when talking about dating, marriage, or selecting a romantic partner, saying he checks all the boxes is not a compliment. Here's what I mean. Let's say you have a general idea of what you want in a partner. Let's say you're looking to date a man. You would like for him to have a stable job, a good relationship with his family, and to like cats because you're a cat lover too. You might meet someone who checks all the boxes. He has all those things you want. He loves cats, has a good job that he likes and excels at, and he has a good and stable relationship with his whole family. Sounds great, right? Don't let that guy get away. He checks all the boxes. But you know what? You need more than just those objective criteria. You need to feel good about someone. So in dating, checking all the boxes isn't enough. So if you're ever talking to an English-speaking friend about a date, and if your English-speaking friend starts off by saying, well, he checks all the boxes, well, that means he meets the objective criteria, but he didn't give your friend a great feeling. Today's song of the week is Cab by the band Train. The song is about a cab driver, a taxi driver in New York, adjusting to being single after a breakup. It's not one of Train's most popular songs, but it is really good, and the video is good too. So thanks, JR, for selecting Cab by Train as this week's song. Well, that's all for today's lesson. Remember, we'll continue this topic on Monday when we'll talk about all the high-tech elements of driving a Tesla. Remember, we're here every Monday and Thursday to help you upgrade your English. And if you enjoy these audio lessons, you'll want to also check out Plain English Plus by visiting plainenglish.com/plus, Plus. And that's where you'll find lots of additional tools to help you upgrade your English, all produced by JR and me, and all specifically for this Plain English audience. So check that out, plainenglish.com/plus, Plus.